behind that struggle, Dan?
I mean, look, I think it's really the worries about distraction with Doge, as well as maybe some softer numbers that have come out of China, and as well as Europe, right? So I think
In this video, Dan Ives from Wedbush addresses Tesla's current challenges, particularly in brand perception and market dynamics in China and Europe. Despite these struggles, Dan remains optimistic about Tesla's future, especially concerning the potential of autonomous driving, which he views as a vast opportunity. Overall, Dan conveys confidence in Tesla's future, indicating that the advantages far outweigh the current challenges, and Dan feels the company is poised for greater success.
Let's get to some of the signal. Talk to me about the challenge to autonomous driving, the challenge posed not just from, say, Waymo, but also from BYD. How strong is that challenge?
Look, it's a challenge, but I think the biggest issue is that in the U.S. there's really no federal roadmap. I mean, the whole point here and why it was so bullish in terms of Trump and Musk, ultimately, this is now going to lay out on the federal side a roadmap for autonomous. Now, look, there are challenges. You look at what's happened in China as well. But I think that's something that ultimately Tesla is going to be massively competitive when it comes to everything in China. That's going to be a huge, strong market for them. And there's nothing that makes me view this as a zero-sum game. I mean, we're in the beginning of what's going to really be, trillions of dollars spent.
But let's just say, and this might be a hypothetical, and this might be real, Dan, that BYD gets subsidized by the Chinese government in order to make enough inroads that they can offer cheap data and cheap technology that achieves some of what Elon Musk is promising, but a much lower price point. Why wouldn't that cannibalize from his potential demand significantly in one of the biggest markets?
Yeah, look, is that a headwind? Yeah, no doubt. I mean, is there some cannibalization? But I think it just comes down to they produce the best product out there. I mean, when it comes to their cars, in terms of Tesla, and it comes to ultimately what they're going to have when it comes to autonomous, that's a brand that's, I think, going to go through all that noise. And I think they're going to continue to ultimately gain share in China. And I think when I look at the U.S., despite some of maybe contained brand issues, when I look at autonomous and robotics, I mean, that's 90% of the story going forward. So any of this near-term worries, I think the bar's going to be a lot worse than a bite in terms of where just this broader innovation's going. I believe the best is ahead for Tesla, not in the rearview mirror.
Contained brand issues is the most interesting way of saying that people don't like Elon Musk. There are a number of people who love him, and there are a number of people who hate him. He's very much in the public sentiment. How much can you dismiss that at a time where you have Oppenheimer analysts coming out, Stifel also saying that, frankly, the negative downturn in consumers' perception of Elon Musk could result in a headwind for sales? Why is that just a contend perception risk?
Well, first of all, the haters always hate, right? So, I mean, they're always going to grab onto something that ultimately will be negative for Tesla. When I look at ultimate numbers, I mean, I think it's contained. And look, will there be some brand deterioration here? There could be some. But the reality is that the reason it's going to be known as the bet for the ages, because Musk having that front row seat in the Trump White House is significant in terms of autonomous, deregulatory environment. And that's the key. So any small brand issues, which I believe are contained, it's still what I view as far and away, and is not even close, the best EV and one of the best really automobiles in the world.
Dan, who's running Tesla?
Look, Musk continues to run. And we've talked about it a lot on the show. I mean, even if you go back a few years ago in terms of everything with X and Twitter and some of the distractions, I actually think this is an engaged Musk behind the scenes in terms of Tesla. There is a much stronger bench today.
Dan, how does he have time for that? I've got to jump in. How does he make the time to do that? That's amazing. Where does that time come from?
Look, first off, he definitely has a lot more, what I view as a bench at Tesla to run a lot of these products. So maybe a few years ago, he was sort of doing it all, I wouldn't say himself, but I think now there's a lot more activity that goes on without him. That said, most of the innovation that's coming to Tesla over the next 6 to 9 months, there's so much more innovation coming ahead than behind, and Musk is going to be key to driving that. Now, look, with Doge, is that a distraction? Is that going to cause definitely some negative brand issues? Yeah, it could. But the reality is, in terms of the benefits, far outweigh any of the negatives for the broader Tesla story.